Hello friends, if you're new here, welcome. My name is Keisha and today I am so excited because it's April, which means I get to do part 2 of this new series on my channel where my friends pick my TBR. As per usual, Jovi has decided to join the party, so we're gonna have a little special appearance here. Jovi, do you want to say hi to your friends? So Jovi can help me say hi to the special guest for this month who is going to be picking my 3 books for my TBR, and that's going to be Elizabeth. So Jovi, say hi, Elizabeth. Say hi. Why are you shaking? You love people. So if you guys are not familiar with this series that I started on my channel back in January, basically I am trying to read my unread shelves, and I really want my friends, like my book besties, to pick my books for my TBR for certain months. So this month I have chosen Elizabeth from Ponytails and Paperbacks to pick 3 books for me. So basically what I do is I send pictures of my unread shelves and I ask for my friends to pick 3 books that they either really want to see me read, that they're surprised I haven't read yet, that they have read and loved and hope that I love, or maybe it could be a book that they want to buddy read with me. It can be any of those things, but just something that's on my unread shelves. I have given a little bit of leeway where if they want to pick one that is on like my Goodreads TBR, that's fine, but I never know what they're going to pick, and I'm really excited to see what Elizabeth is going to pick for me this month. I have kind of shortened my TBR for April just so hopefully I can get through the books that she has selected for me. I'm very nervous because when I did the one with Lauren, I was really excited about the books, but also really nervous. And I feel like I loved them, but I also didn't love them as much as I wanted to. And so I'm so nervous because I'm like, my friends are going to disown me because I don't love all the books. So we'll see. But without further ado, let's go ahead and see what books Elizabeth has chosen for me to read in April. Okay, here we go.
Hello, Keisha. I'm so nervous. And
Me too.
excited to pick 3 books for you because I'm putting pressure on myself that one of these books has to be a 5-star from you because I want to say I want to know your reading taste. So we'll see. We'll see based on what I pick for you.
Oh my gosh.
Regardless, thank you for having me pick some books for you to read for the month of April. I feel like I got a good stack here. Okay. First book I'm going to recommend, Mexican Gothic. Just kidding. I know you did not like that one. And I respect that.
Well, I didn't hate it.
So, for real. First book I'm going to recommend that I don't actually have is Anxious People by Frederick Backman. And this book I read last March, and it was my first book by him. And it was so fun and lighthearted while being serious, and I felt like anyone would like that book. But here's why I think you will specifically like this book. So the characters in it are very ridiculous, and you hate some, you like some, but they're so entertaining to read about. It reminded me of the characters from Ghost, that movie,
the show.
That show.
Yes.
On
okay.
A while back we watched it, and we both were into it, and I kind of thought, well, the characters in this book are similar in just that you cannot get over how crazy they are.
You're piquing my interest.
They're very memorable. So that's why I'm picking this one for you. It's a weird comparison, but if you try it and you see what I mean, then I'll be really happy about that.
Okay.
Okay. The next book I'm picking for you, it's kind of a seasonal book, so hopefully you'll still want to read it in April, but it is The Nature of Witches.
Okay.
And this one I really enjoyed. I felt like the writing was so easy to picture everything, and it was really unique, even though there's so many books about witches, but this has elements in it, and it has a lot to do with nature, and I'm using the title obviously here, but it's a very cool story, and I feel like you might like this one just because it's not too dark, but it still has that fun kind of spooky vibe to it while not being over the top.
Okay.
So even though it's a really good fall read, I think you could still read it in April.
What's seasonal, right?
It, and I really am curious how you're going to feel about this one because it's kind of gotten in between reviews, and for me, I really enjoyed it and liked it. So I feel like maybe you could feel the same way.
I hope so.
Now, I've saved the best for last. I kind of wonder if this is the one you thought I was going to pick for you.
Oh, I'm going to see. Let's see.
This is one of my favorite books.
This is what I think
I love this book
it's gonna
so
be.
much, and I feel like it's perfect for you because one of the main characters is a librarian.
Oh, it's this one. It's got to be.
So you could connect on so many levels. And I'm pretty sure you haven't read it in the time between now and then. But do you know what it is? It's the Besties. Oh, I love this book so much.
I knew it.
And you and we both come from families where we don't have sisters, and I know we both kind of wanted to have sisters, so it's so fun to read about these two. And it's very, very well described as a thriller slash, I guess it's truly a thriller, but I think the twist is fun. It kind of reminds me of the same sort of feel I got when I read The Last Time I Lied.
Oh.
And I know you love that one, just like me.
Yes.
So I'm really going to be sad if you don't like this one.
I will too.
And I guess you should just not tell me. But I'm really hoping that you love this one as much as I do. So those are my picks. Just imagine I have anxious people also. I think I'm lending it to someone else right now, so that's why I don't have it. But I hope that you love one of the three, if not all, and I can't wait to see you read them. Love you.
Aww. Elizabeth, you're so sweet. Oh my gosh. Okay, so I am so nervous. Like, you're nervous, girl, I'm nervous. Okay, so first of all, can we just all applaud me for knowing that this was what you would pick? I knew, like, if y'all don't know, this is one of Elizabeth's favorite books, if not her favorite book. I know it's one of her favorites. So, yeah, I had this one and another one that I thought she might pick kind of like in tow just in case. So, she didn't pick the other one, so I'm not going to hold it up because I have a feeling if she didn't pick it, that means Liv is probably going to pick it later on. So, we'll see. I'm not going to spoil that, but I knew she was going to pick The Good Sister. Anxious People and the Nature of Witches completely took me off guard because that is just not what I expected you to pick. So I'm a little nervous, but the fact that you related Ghosts to Anxious People, like, I love Ghosts. If you guys have not seen Ghosts, it's like a sitcom on CBS. It's also on Paramount Plus if you have that. It is the most hilarious show. I love it so much. Like, every single ghost on there is so funny. Like, Trevor might be my favorite. I don't know. He's the ghost without the pants. He died with no pants. And then there's another one that's like a Viking, and it's like this couple moves into this house, and this girl has this, like, she tumbles down the stairs, she hits her head, now she can see the ghosts, and it's the best. So if Anxious People has those kind of vibes, I might like it. Yeah, I definitely want to read. So I've read Frederick Bachman before, but I've read his novellas. So I read and Every Morning the Way Home Gets Longer and Longer, which is, oh my gosh, so good. If you want to just sit there and cry through a whole book, it's so good. And then I also read The Deal of a Lifetime, but I haven't read any more from him, so I'm excited to read this one. I'm nervous to read it right now. I hope that I'm in like the right headspace and mood for it, so we'll see. But and then The Nature of Witches is so funny because, like, no, it's not seasonal, but it is seasonal because doesn't she have, like, she's a witch that, like, it goes through all the seasons, so maybe it'll work. I don't know. I'm definitely intimidated by that book because I feel like some people have loved it and some people have hated it. So that's definitely one that I'm a little bit more iffy on. The one I'm most excited about, obviously, is this one because I expected it, and I also am just, like, really itching to read this to see if I love Sally Hepworth as much as you. I got to get on the choo-choo train for this one. You know what I'm talking about, girl. If y'all don't know what I'm talking about, it's inside jokes, don't worry. But I'm going to get on the choo-choo train for Sally Hepworth, hopefully, after this. So we will see if I like these books. I hope that I do. She said that she wants me to have one of them be a 5-star, which is super intimidating. My prediction is that this would be the 5-star. My second prediction, if this is not the 5-star, would probably be Anxious People. I'm actually, like, least, like, expecting that I'll like the nature of witches, which we could, at the end of this video, it could be completely flip-flop. So I guess we'll see. But yeah, I'm gonna go grab the books and we can talk a little bit about what each one of them is about. And then I'm gonna go ahead and get started reading all of these books that Elizabeth picked for me. Okay, I've got the books, so I can tell you like vaguely what I know about each one of them because I don't really remember a lot. But I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna tell you guys like a little bit about each one, and then I'm gonna read like the first couple of sentences or paragraph or page or something with you, like of each one. That way I can like figure out which one I want to start with. So I'm either gonna start with the one that I think I'm gonna love the most based off of what I read, or I'm gonna start with the one that I think I'm gonna love the least, just because like, in all honesty, I may want to start with the one that I'd like the least, just because I don't want to start with the best book and then it just kind of go down from there. So let me go ahead and tell you what each of these is about. So The Nature of Witches is the first one that I grabbed, and this is by Rachel Griffin, and it's about this girl named Clara Dinsmore, and there's all these witches that can like control the climate, and their powers are the strongest in the season that they were born. So you've got all 4 seasons, and you've got these witches that, again, can control the climate the strongest in the season that they were born. But Clara is an ever witch, and she can kind of like control the climate in all the seasons. Like she's got powers in all the seasons, and now there's something going on where the climate has changed. So this does deal with climate change, which this kind of makes me hesitant to read it. I'll just go ahead and tell you like initial thoughts on these two. If this ends up becoming too overly political, I don't like to read about like certain things or politics in my books, and to me like climate change is kind of a political thing, and so I don't really like to read about that in my books. So we'll see if I like it. But anyway, so Clara has like this situation where she has got to figure out if, I don't know, like she's got to choose between her power and her happiness, her duty and the people she loves before she loses everything. Like it's kind of up to her to save the climate or save everyone from like what's going on. So yeah, this is a really pretty book, by the way. Like this Under the Dust Jacket, like probably one of the prettiest books I own. So I hope that the inside is as beautiful as the outside, but that's like what I know about it. And then the next one is Anxious People by Frederick Bachman. And I have read Frederick Bachman before. I've read And Every Morning the Way Home Gets Longer and Longer. And I've read The Deal of a Lifetime, which are both his novellas, and I loved them. So like I don't have super high hopes for this one just because I've heard mixed things, but I know that I like this author. So hopefully I will like this book. And all that I remember about this is it's about this like accidental bank robber, or this guy who was trying to be a bank robber and he was like unsuccessful or something, and he ends up taking these people hostage that are like, I think they're at an apartment open house, and he ends up taking these people hostage, and you get to learn about each of the characters, and I'm not really sure like what it is. It says each of them carries a lifetime of grievances, hurts, secrets, and passions that are ready to boil over. None of them is entirely who they appear to be, and all of them, the bank robber included, desperately crave some sort of rescue. So yeah, I don't really know. I think we're going to get the perspective of all of them. And Elizabeth did tell me that this was going to be like similar in vibes and tones to Ghosts, this CBS show. And I love that show, so that makes me hope that this is going to be something that I love as well. But that's all I know about that one. And then this one is The Good Sister by Sally Hepworth. And I know this is Elizabeth's favorite, or one of her favorite books. So I'm very excited to read this one. The cover says everyone has a dark side, so that's super intriguing in and of itself. Obviously, like a good mystery thriller is intriguing in and of itself. It says 2 sisters, 1 truth, but which one of them knows it? I know this follows Fern, who is a librarian. She has a sister named Rose that she has dinner with 3 nights a week. And Fern has like this very carefully structured life. She has this routine, and disrupting it can be dangerous. And then one day she finds out that her sister Rose is not able to get pregnant and have a baby. And so Fern thinks that since Rose has done so much for her, this is her way of repaying her. So she's going to like find this husband or this man to impregnate her so she can have Rose's baby for her or something like that. And from what I can tell, it just gets messy from there. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I'm definitely intrigued by this one. So let's just read a little bit of each of these and then see which one I feel like starting with. So let's just go in the same order. So this is The Nature of Witches, and I'm just going to read like the first couple sentences with you, and then I'll let you know what I think. So we're starting in Summer, and this will kind of give you guys a taste for the book too. So Chapter 1. Being an Everwitch means two things. You are powerful and you are dangerous. A season for everything. Everything is burning. So many flames it looks as if we set the sky on fire. The sun has long since vanished, hidden behind a haze of smoke and ash, but its magic still rushes through me. The fire has been raging for 6 days. It started with the smallest spark and became all-consuming in the span of a breath, flames spreading chaotic and fast as if they were being chased. Starting the fire was easy. Putting it out is something else entirely. Okay, I'm going to stop there. This one, so like, I'm intrigued. There's a fire. I am intrigued. I like so far just based off the little bit, like I feel like I'm gonna like the way that's written. I feel like it's flowy, so that's a good option. I mean, I'm gonna have to read all of these because Elizabeth picked them anyway, so oh my goodness. Wouldn't it be awful if I like DNF'd one of these? We'll see. Okay, so this is Anxious People by Frederick Bachman. This is how this one starts. It says, a bank robbery, a hostage drama, a stairwell full of police officers on their way to storm an apartment. It was easy to get to this point, much easier than you might think. All it took was one single, really bad idea. This story is about a lot of things, but mostly about idiots. So it needs saying from the outset that it's always very easy to declare that other people are idiots, but only if you forget how idiotically difficult being human is. Especially if you have other people you're trying to be a reasonably good human for. Okay, I'm going to stop there. Intriguing in the way that it's written for like the humor, but if you notice I stumbled over my words, it's not something like a writing style that I'm used to reading. So, interesting. So we've got like a fire and we've got a humorous start to whatever that's going to be. Then we've got The Good Sister by Sally Hepworth, and this one starts Journal of Rose Ingrid Castle. Well, I like that there's a journal entry in here. See, all I needed to know is that. I'm intrigued by this one anyways. You guys should know this. It's been 3 months since Owen left. Left or left me. Like so many things in the adult world, it's all a bit gray. He took a job in London, a work opportunity ostensibly. It's not that I wasn't invited, but it was clear to both of us that I couldn't go. That's another thing about the adult world. Responsibilities. In my case, one particular responsibility. Fern. Let me backtrack because it sounds like I'm blaming her. I'm not. The problems between Owen and me are 100% unequivocally entirely my fault. I committed the most cardinal of marital sins. I changed. Overnight, as soon as the clock chimed, my 27th birthday in fact, I went from being a well-educated, empowered woman to one of those pathetic women who wanted a baby with such ferocity it drove my husband away. Ooh. All right. So this one sounds the most intriguing still. Like, I really want to read this book. But I know myself. And I want to save this because I think I'm going to love it. So I'm going to save this. And based off of what I read, I think I'm most intrigued by this one. And then, like, intrigued by this one and, like, least intrigued by this one. So I think I'm just going to go ahead and start with this one and maybe, like, work my way up. Wouldn't it be funny, though, if this ended up being my favorite and this ended up being my least favorite? Like, I think the possibility of that would be really funny. So I'm going to go ahead and start with Anxious People, and I will keep y'all posted on my thoughts. I'm back with an update. So I am not very far into Anxious People. I'm probably, let's see, I think I'm 55 pages in. And I have to be honest. So one, I want to say that I'm very, very thankful that Elizabeth picked this book for me, because this book has been sitting on my shelf for at least a year, and it's a book that's been on my TBR for a long time. So it's a book that I needed to pick up, but I will say this book I don't think is going to be for me. And I have been debating on, like, just get to 100 pages and then DNF it, but I'm going to have to go ahead and DNF it, and let me tell you why. I don't think that this book is inherently bad. I don't think there's anything wrong with this book. I just don't think I'm the target audience for this book. I don't think this is my cup of tea. as someone who tends to like to read fast-paced thrillers and middle grades, I just don't feel like this is something that I can enjoy in its fullest. I don't think it's going to be a book that I don't like. I just think potentially it would only be a 3-star book if I did finish it, and I don't think it would be any higher. And honestly, like, I have like 500 books almost on my Goodreads TBR. There's so many books that I want to read, so many books that I want to get to, and I just don't think it's fair to myself and to my time to continue reading something that I know is not going to be over 3 stars for me. So I will say that I do like the humor in this book, but I think it's more something that I would enjoy watching in a television show versus reading. And so I do like that. I don't quite like the stream of consciousness writing style. I think that's something that's kind of bugging me a little bit as well. I do like that I feel like this is going to explore the human condition and kind of just evaluate people. I don't know what I'm trying to say. You guys know what I mean. But I don't like that I seem more interested in the whole bank robber story and why the bank robber, wanted to rob the bank and what's going on with him. And I know we're going to find that out, but I'm more concerned with the mystery of what happened to him because they couldn't find him. And I think I want more of a mystery, and that's just because I read more mystery thrillers. That's because I tend to like more fast-paced books. So I will say, you guys know I've read Frederick Bachman before. I do like him. I just don't think this is, like, for me, this is reading outside of, hi, Jovi. Their puppy butt, sorry. Like I was saying, this is kind of reading outside of my comfort genre, if you will. And I think that I do that sometimes, and it's fine for me to read outside of my comfort genre, but I don't think this is going to be a book that is just like a huge hit for me. So I am going to DNF it. I am going to go ahead and unhaul it from my shelves just because I don't feel like it's going to be a super memorable book for me. I don't feel like it's going to be a book that I love so much. So I'm sorry, Elizabeth, the first book, I know. And it doesn't help that I'm on a book hangover from reading The Last House on Nicholas Street either. So it's partially book hangover and partially the fact that I just know this isn't going to be like a super big win for me. So with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and pick up The Nature of Witches. I do feel like I'm going to like this one more than Anxious People. I am intrigued by it. You guys already know my hesitancies. We'll see how much that affects my enjoyment of the story, but I'm going to go ahead and pick this one up, and then I will let you guys know what I think. Okay, so I am a little over halfway through The Nature of Witches, and I wanted to check in before I finish the book because I haven't really checked in. I'm going to try to not give all of my thoughts because I want to save those for the end, but I will say positives. The book reads fast, but I am kind of having to force myself to read it a little. And I like that the beginning of the book kind of reminded me, or like the camp, like the training camp type deal, reminds me of Camp Half-Blood from Percy Jackson. Like that, it gives me those vibes. And I like seeing like the different seasons represented and just kind of the atmosphere. Things that I don't like are things that I will discuss at the end. So you'll just have to stay tuned. I'm not going to go into like super detail because I don't like want to talk about what I don't like in detail, but I guess you're just gonna have to stick around to see what I think. So I finished The Nature of Witches and I have conflicting thoughts. So the thing that is keeping me from liking this book the most, I feel like, is that at the very beginning of the book, it talks a lot about climate change, and it talks a lot about how witches kind of like help the climate and keeping it at bay, and shaders or non-witches are responsible for the climate being the way that it is. So it goes into that topic that I feel like gets really political, and I don't really want to go into a political conversation here. I don't want to say like a lot of detailed thoughts on anything, but I don't like the idea of like playing the blame game with things. I don't like the idea of like pushing an agenda. And at the very beginning of this book, I really felt like that was what was going on. And so it kind of put a bad taste in my mouth for this book because I just didn't want to read something like that. Like, I don't enjoy that in my books. I don't like feeling like somebody's trying to push an agenda on me. Like, it just really frustrated me. And I don't know whether or not the author was trying to do that. It definitely felt like it. And so it just very much frustrated me. Some other things happened throughout the story that I wasn't a fan of, but I feel like the main thing was just the fact that it kept coming back to pointing fingers. And I really just, like, I don't want to read about that. Like, I don't know how to say it in a nice way. Like, I don't want to read about it. But as I continued on with the book, about halfway through the book and the second half of this book, I really started to connect a little bit more with an aspect of the story, and that aspect was the romance. And I didn't realize how much that I would connect because I honestly didn't connect a lot with the characters throughout. But by the end, I feel like I did connect a little bit more. As I've mentioned before, just to kind of relay like what I liked about it, I did really like the seasons. I liked the elemental magic. I really liked the kind of feel that this was like Camp Half-Blood and Percy Jackson. It just kind of felt like that to me because they were all in cabins in the woods and in these areas, and they were training outdoors. So it very much reminded me of that, and I really enjoyed that. But also just, I don't know, I like elemental magic. I like the magic aspect of it. I just think, and I like the weather aspect of it, but I just think that I kept thinking like about the beginning of the book and how it just really affected me negatively about just the tone of everything. And so yeah, that's definitely brought the rating down a lot for me. But can we just talk about Sang for a minute? Like, I didn't realize, I was like, there's no way, like, I'm not going to fall for this character. I don't like him, like, not book boyfriend material. Like, I did not like him, but I just wasn't connecting. I connected. Like, I was sitting here, like, this guy, like, this is new book boyfriend material. He was just, like, we love him. I'm not going to, like, spoil a lot, but just, like, the connection that he had with Clara and the whole flower thing, if you know, you know, like, I was swooning. I can't lie. I was swooning. The romance is really what carried this for me. I did enjoy, like, the training sessions with Sang and Clara. And it did really remind me a lot, like I said, of Percy Jackson. It reminded me, okay, I have to say this. There is a point in this story, and I'll just say, like, I'm going to pop a spoiler up on the screen real quick because if you don't know, I don't want you to, like, be spoiled. One little spoiler. At the part where, like, Clara realizes that she not only can, like, pull the magic from other people from different seasons, but she can, like, elevate their magic and help them, like, bring their magic up when it's not their season. And they were at this, like, river, and they were trying to, like, stop the flooding. All I could think about, and if you know, you know, all I could think about was, like, the Care Bears. And you know how, like, each of them are a different Care Bear, and, like, they use, like, the Care Bear stare or whatever it is, and the little, like, rainbow beams of light come out of them. And there was, like, a movie where they all came together to, like, push off this cloud or push off this darkness or whatever it was. And that's just what that made me think of was the Care Bears. Like, what? I don't know. Like, that's what I was thinking about. I was like, all these things. I'm like, this is like the Care Bears movie. But anyways, okay, spoilers are over. I just wanted to say that because I thought that was really funny. But anyways, I did end up enjoying this book more than I thought I did, but I still think for me, like, it's gonna just be about a 3 or 3.5 star. I'm really conflicted because the things that I didn't like were things that I really, really didn't like. And I do think also that there wasn't much plot to the story. I do think it was kind of a repetitive series of events. I feel like a lot was revisited, but I enjoyed some of the parts. I just couldn't forget the parts that made me mad, though. So I don't know. I feel like I'm going to settle for a 3, 3.5. It is a disappointment. I do think the book is overhyped, honestly. This is a beautiful book, but I don't know. I hope that the author writes something different in the future that doesn't make me feel like, I don't know, icky about, like, some of the underlying messages. But I don't know. And I hate this because, like, I don't want to start a political conversation. Like, I'm not saying, like, one way or another how I believe on certain issues. I just don't like the attitude that some people take towards it. So I don't know. I don't know how to explain that. But I don't know. That's just really what bugged me with this. But I think this is probably about a 3 or 3.5 stars. So I did finish a book for the vlog. Yay. Now I need to read The Good Sister, which I've really been looking forward to. So hopefully, you know, we'll have a 5-star, 4 or 5-star by the end of this. I really feel like I'm going to like it. So we'll just have to see. But I'm going to go ahead and get into that one, and then I will let you guys know what I think. Okay, we're going to ignore the fact that I look like complete trash right now because I have comments about this book. So, first of all, she's got tabs. Okay, so that's a good sign. I really like this. I am probably almost halfway through, and I'm really liking it. It's not as thrilling, like it's not like a mystery thriller like I thought it would be. Nothing really has happened. If there is any mystery, I think it's going to come later. There is some creepy guy kind of coming around that I'm questionable about. But yeah, this is really cool. There's like parts of the story where Rose is, so you have Fern and you have Rose, and Fern has like sensory processing issues, and then Rose is her sister who takes care of her, and you have like journal entries from Rose where you get to kind of see Rose's perspective, and also she kind of like talks about their past and their childhood growing up with their mom and like kind of how their life was. I don't want to go into too much detail because I don't want to spoil anything, but you have that part that kind of makes me feel icky and doesn't make me feel great and kind of hits a nerve with me. But then you have the current day where Fern has these freaking hilarious interactions with people because like, and I don't know, like, I don't know that I should laugh at that. I don't know, but it's funny. I think it's supposed to be funny, but because of her, like, just, I don't know what it is, like, because of just the way her life has been, and she doesn't quite understand certain things, and I think partially like her sensory processing issues, there are a lot of interactions that are really funny. And so I really like kind of going through that and seeing just the different ways she reacts to things and how people react to her, because it's funny, like, because they don't get it. And I don't think some of the people in her life understand what she goes through. And so it's funny to see their reactions when they don't understand, because it's like, what is going on? So this is really good so far. I'm really enjoying it, and I just wanted to make sure I popped in to say that because I feel like so far this vlog has been like a struggle. So it's good that I'm ending on a good note. So I'm going to go ahead and finish this up, and then I will pop back in later and let you guys know my final thoughts. Okay, y'all. I am about 60 pages away from the end of this book, and I just want to speak some things before I finish it. I have been tabbing it like I mentioned before, and I feel like I have more I don't like this tabs than anything, but it's not like I don't like the book. It's like there are moments, there's so much that happens in this that just make me angry. And so I've been talking to Elizabeth about this a bit, but you have a sister duo in this book. You have Fern and you have Rose. And Fern has kind of always needed Rose and kind of always needed her help or whatever. And Rose has always been there for Fern. But let me tell you, I cannot stand Rose. Like, I'm seriously sitting here like, can she just, like, okay, look, she's a fictional character, not a real life person, would never wish this on a real life person, but because she's fictional, can she just die? Like, for real, can she just die? Because I wouldn't care, because she is freaking cuckoo bananas. Like, what is wrong with her? Fern, excuse me. Fern, we're like, oh, well, Fern, you know, it seems like she's on the spectrum, and, you know, presumably that makes you think, well, she's prone to probably do some things she shouldn't do, blah, blah, blah. Rose, like, and look, we all know, like, traumatic childhoods can cause things in people. And I have a level of sympathy for that. But right now, I'm having a very hard time, like, with Rose. Like, some of the things she's doing, y'all, I have not been this mad at a book character and this mad and this emotional about a book since I read The Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires by Grady Hendrix. And, like, Carter in that book, if you know, you know, he's, like, super patronizing, like, gaslighting crap of a man. I don't know who I hate worse, Carter or Rose. So we're going to finish this and just see what happens. And I'll check back in with y'all and let you know. But I had to just kind of rant a little bit about my distaste for Rose. Okay, I have finished The Good Sister, and I'm here to wrap up my thoughts and also end the vlog and wrap up my thoughts on all the books. But I'm going to start with The Good Sister. So clearly I tabbed it up. I loved it. I'm so glad that there was a book in this vlog that I did love, because I was struggling at the beginning, you guys know, but this book was so good. I loved Fern's character. I loved that she had sensory processing issues, but she didn't let that deter her from anything in life. She didn't let that stop her. She was fully capable of living her life and taking care of herself and being a good person, and I love that. And it just made my heart so happy to just see her, and her interactions with people were absolutely hilarious. Like, that is really what drew me into this book, is just seeing her interact in the library with people, and her interactions with Wally. Oh my gosh. Like, and Wally is just as great of a character. I loved both of them so much. Rose can burn in hell. That was very rude of me. She's a fictional character. I would never say things like that in real life. But she was, I don't like her. Let me just tell you, I don't like Rose. So anyways, I love the book. I love that there were aspects where you got journal entries from Rose. I didn't really like what was in the journal entries. They made me mad. So like, there are, the way that I tab my books, the like gold looking tabs are the things that I didn't like. But yeah, things made me mad. But I loved this book. I wasn't crazy about how it ended. I was like, it wasn't like a bad ending, but I was just like, really? So I don't know. I think I'm going to give it like a 4.5. It's not quite a 5, because I feel like it hasn't had like that 5-star feel for me completely. I did really enjoy the book though, and so I feel like it deserves just about a 5-star. So I am going to rate it 4.5, which is great. I loved it so much. So Elizabeth, you got one right at least. But I did really need to read these other books. Elizabeth chose books that were all on my physical TBR. And so I did need to read them. And I did happen to predict that I would like that one the most, this one in the middle, and this one the least. So The Nature of Witches was okay. I think I'm going to settle on a 3-star rating for it. I just can't give it higher than a 3-star. And I do recognize that that is partially due to just like my own bias or my own personal feelings about the book. I think that outside of that, I probably could rate it a 4, but I still don't feel like there was a lot of plot in this book. I don't feel like there was a lot there going for it, except for the romance. I did really enjoy the elemental magic in it, but it just wasn't enough of, I don't know. It was good. It was fluffy. It was very fluffy in my opinion. Outside of the things that I didn't like that were very harsh, it was a very fluffy story. So I think I'm going to settle on a 3-star rating for this. I love the aesthetics of this book, but it just wasn't quite the book for me. And then we have Anxious People, which again, I just don't know if this is the book for me. I did DNF this. I just didn't feel like I wanted to waste my time reading it. I don't think it's a bad book, and I can see why people like the book. I just don't think it's my style of writing. I don't think it's my type of story. Or maybe it is, just in a different way, because I find myself saying things like this about a book, but then I'll read another book that's similar, but it's just somebody else wrote it and I liked it better. And I'm not saying that I don't like Frederick Bachman's writing, because I have read 2 of his novellas and I absolutely loved them. They were 4- and 5-star reads for me, but this one is just not my cup of tea. So I think I'm actually going to unhaul this book, just because I don't think I'm ever going to get around to it. So that's good, because I have one less book on my shelf. I keep accumulating them, but I hardly ever get rid of them. So this is good. But anyways, yeah, those are the books that I read, and I'm most impressed by this one. Big surprise. So I'm very excited that I was able to read these books. Elizabeth, thank you so much for picking them out for me. It was a journey getting through these books, but I really like to see what you like and then kind of seeing and comparing our reading. And so obviously this is one of your favorite books and I absolutely loved it. So anything in the same vein or similar to this, recommend it to me. Well, I'm going to go ahead and wrap the vlog up here. So I hope you all enjoyed hearing my ramblesome thoughts about these books. Elizabeth, I hope you enjoyed hearing my thoughts about these books, even though some of them were not nice. But I did enjoy this experience. I really like doing this series on my channel where my friends pick my TBR because 1, it helps me read my TBR, and 2, it helps me kind of see books we have in common, and I love interacting with my friends when I'm reading the books. That is just such a cool experience. It's very fun, so I love that. I will be doing my next installment of this series in July, so you'll have to see which friend is going to be next up on the list. But thank you all for watching. I appreciate you all so much, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye, friends.